All right, everybody, let's build us a robot. I'm going to go up to File, New, as you might guess, and we're going to create an assembly as always. We always start with an assembly and cancel that default Begin Assembly dialog. Next, we'll hit that S key, S for shortcut, and come over to the Insert Components button, drop it down, and insert a new part. We're then going to click the front plane of our assembly to finish that command. Remember, we got to click that front plane, otherwise our part placement isn't complete. And then we'll take that newly placed part, click it twice, and rename it Lens. All right, let's open this lens up in its own window, just to clean up our viewport a little bit. So right-click that, and head right up to this Open Part button, and it's now in its very own window. Now, it created a sketch for us by default that we do not need, so let's click that sketch in the tree and hit the Delete button at the top right of the keyboard, not the backspace key, but the Delete key, and click OK. And I'm going to go to my right plane, and I am going to hit the X key. X is an Xavier on my keyboard. Now, that is a custom keyboard shortcut, if you remember, so if you haven't set that up, it won't work. So, you have to create a sketch on the right plane by whatever means necessary. I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit and hit the S key on my keyboard, S for shortcut, and grab my line tool to start with. So I'm going to kind of mouse over the origin here, but don't click anything. Just move your mouse straight up above the origin so you get a nice guide, dotted line. Move off to the right of that just a little bit and click somewhere. All right, it doesn't have to be perfect. Anywhere will work. And then come straight off to the right, and you'll notice I'm snapping to horizontal as I do this. And I could type a dimension if I want. So let's just type, I don't know, 6, enter, and I end up with a line segment 6 millimeters long. I'm going to come down and snap to just to the right of my origin, and then come down and snap the origin. Now what I want to do is actually bring a curve from the origin up to that point that we created. Let me zoom in here so we have a little bit more screen real estate. But right now I'm drawing straight lines. Well, I could drop this tool and go grab the arc tool and blah, 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 and it would take forever. But there's a shortcut that you should know about. If I'm running the polyline tool, as I am right now, if I mouse over the current point, notice I get a little yellow circle to the right of my mouse. And that's telling me that we're now doing a tangent arc instead, which is really close to what I want, except I actually want that tangent arc to be perpendicular, not tangent. Well, mouse over again, and drag straight up, and suddenly we've got a perpendicular arc. So that mouse over trick, really handy. Do that twice, and I end up with my arc. Hit the Escape key to drop that tool. Now I'm going to click off of that, and just to demonstrate one more time in fast motion, let's grab that line tool, click, 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 and then mouse over, drag straight up, and click. Just like that. I want you to practice that a couple of times because playing with that is going to make you much, much quicker with drawing profiles in SOLIDWORKS. I'm going to select this stuff by boxing over it and hit the Delete key to delete it. Let's add some dimensions to this guy. I'm going to hit the S key for shortcut, head over and grab my Smart Dimension tool, and create a smart dimension from the bottom to the top, and we'll make that 50 millimeters, enter, and from the origin to the back edge, and we'll make that, I don't know, 10 millimeters, and that looks just fine to me. Now, the only other issue with this is that currently we've got a 6 millimeter edge here, and really I don't care how long this edge is. What I care about is the arc height here. So let's change this dimension. I'm going to select it and delete it. S for shortcut. Click on my Smart Dimension. I'm going to dimension from the origin to this point, but I'm going to zoom out and then drag straight up to get that 4, because that's the one that I want. Hit OK, and now this thing is defined the way that I want it to be defined. Hit Escape to drop any tools. And one last thing before we get out of this sketch. Let's create a center line in the middle of this sketch, just to tell SOLIDWORKS that we want this to revolve around a center. I'm going to grab the line tool and drop it down and choose a center line. And then come down here and create a line any old place as long as it's on the origin all the way across and hit Escape. Drop that. Okay, so let's head over to Features, revolved boss/base. Click that, and it should revolve 360 degrees by default. If not, go ahead and set that 360 and hit OK. We now have a lens, and this is going to work just perfectly for us. Let's close this up. Yes, we want to save it. And then make sure that we save our assembly somewhere. So I'm going to File, Save As, and call this guy Ampy Assembly, and hit Save. And we are good, folks. Let's move on.